Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you are watching us. Welcome to a new edition of the Bridge Writers and the first edition in 2023, right? So today we have with us Anna Seno, and we're very happy with that. So we are having slightly, problems with our technical problems. We'll try to sort it out. Anna, can you please open your camera so that people can see you? There seems to be a little problem here. Anna, can you hear us? Anna? We are not having image. Why is that? Strange things happening. Okay, let me introduce Anna for you in the meantime, and let's see if she can come to to the camera. All right. So let me just introduce her for you. Oh, there you are, Anna. Very good. Good to see you. Welcome.
Hello.
Let me introduce Anna for you then. So Anna Seno has a degree in modern languages and literature, having studied Portuguese, Spanish, and French. She has a master's in linguistics. She's a teacher, translator, and reviewer, and a researcher of conscienciology since 1995. She is a Penta practitioner since 2002 and an instructor in conscienciology since 2005. She is a specialist in communicology and conscienciographology, having published several scientific articles in the areas of self-research and communication. She is a verbotiographer of the Encyclopedia of Conscienciology, was the main editor of the magazine Percursos Linguísticos, or Linguistic Journeys, from the Federal University of Espírito Santo between 2013 and 2016. She is a coordinator of the editorial team of the magazine Consciência Aplicada, so applied conscienciology, right? From the campus of conscienciology and ISIC, so in Espírito Santo, where Anna lives. She is also the editor of the magazine Scriptor from UNIESCOM, which is the Union of all conscienciological writers. She is also the coordinator of the Invisible College of Parapoliticology. And finally, she is the author of the book Evolutionary Communication in Consciential Interactions, published in 2013, co-organizer of the book Serenarium, published in 2020, and co-organizer of the Spanish-Portuguese Glossary of Essential Conscienciology Terms, published in 2021. She is currently a volunteer of ARAC in Espírito Santo and UNIESCOM, so again, the Union of all conscienciological writers. So as we can see, there are a little bit of problems sometimes with the video, but let's hope for the best. Anna, it's all yours. So we will help you with the slides, yeah? And you can just talk to us, talk with us. Welcome again.
Hello, everyone. Please, I need the slides, please. The slides,
Yes,
please.
the helper with the slides, please.
Yeah. That's it. Well, hello again, everyone. I am very happy to be here, and I really thank ISIC for the invitation. For me, it's a pleasure to be with you and talk about the matter of writing. I love to study communication and the consequence of interactions between the conscience. Communication between conscience happens through language and the many ways we can express our tocines. A language is necessary in our relationships with other conscience. For that matter, it is important for me to learn a language and develop my communication skills. We use a language in our daily life, and this use can either be positive and we establish good communication, or actually generate conflict, problems, and noise in the communication. Today, in our class, my focus will be on written communication, although my interest is also to study verbal communication and consensual interactions. Please, next. So, this theme is so relevant to me that I've written a book called Evolutionary Communication, published in November 2030 by Editares. This is my book. In this book, I discuss the process of communicating under the perspective of consensual paradigm. This book will hopefully be launched in English very soon, and in Romanian even sooner, I hope. Next, please. Well, in this book, I propose two concepts. One, evolutionary communication. Two, 6 communication knowledge types, which are one, listening know-how, audio communication. In the communication between conscience, be active listening attentively, politely, and actively is fundamental. Generally, people don't take the time to listen properly. They prefer to talk about themselves. 2, speech know-how, verbal communication. Besides listening, speech is also important because the way we speak influences the result of the message. So it is very important the words we choose, intonation, intensity, volume, arguments, energy use, and intention when speaking. All these things influence speech. 3, reading know-how, decoded communication. Ability of reading is very important for graphical communication in all languages. Reading opens doors for new ideas, information, experience, expressions of interest, feelings, thoughts, and gives us a passport for our modern world. True literacy is not just recognizing the language codes, but understanding the meanings of what is being read. 4, writing know-how, graphotocenic communication. That is our subject matter for this class. We'll be discussing the matter in detail in the next slides. 5, translation know-how, parapsychic communication. There are 4 communication types of knowledge according to the intraphysical paradigm: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. but I propose two types of communication under the perspective of the consensual paradigm, which considers multiple dimensions and parapsyches. We extract information from the consensual energy, translate it words, put it in sentence which makes sense and are logical. Parapsychism is the tool for this. When discussing this type of translation, I'm not exclusively talking about translating a text from one language into another. The idea is far broader than that. I also propose the definition of parapsychic communication for this operation. 6. Toccination know-how, Tocenic communication. Based on Tocini theory proposed by Dr. Valdo Vieira, I think that the main communication knowledge type is Tocinic communication. It is in our Tocination that all think and feel like ideas, feelings, emotions, and intention that we want to express originates. In my second book, which I'm currently writing, I examine particularly this Tocenic communication. Well, the next, please.
I will keep with this, right?
Yes, right.
This slide.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. So this is my proposal of definition for the key concept of book. Evolutionary communication is the mature capacity of verbal, non-verbal, written, energetic, and parapsychic communication performed by consciousness lucid about self-evolution and focusing on efficient assistance in multidimensional exchange, prioritizing clarification tasks. The most important is to develop capacity and skills for communication and use this to complete one's ProX. The next, please. Writing know-how. Yeah. Thanks. Right know-how, self-research, self-cognition, consensual self-relay, self-clarification, self-installation of the author's graphotocini. At first, my study of communication brought me benefits in several areas, among which more knowledge about self-research, better self-cognition, better notion of my consensual self-relay in future lives. I promote more self-clarification to me, especially considering strong traits, weak traits, and absent traits. I propose that all this knowledge is fundamental during one's writing process. Secondly, it is not enough to write the words, the language, the grammar, and understand the role of writing. We know from understanding conscientiology that these knowledges are just basic, but also that they are necessary to develop parapsychism and multidimensional communication. Thirdly, acquiring the healthy daily habit of writing every day allows the author to install of their own volition, a mental somatic field in the home office. Practicing this becomes a skill, and this mental somatic field is composed of holotosine of the author, together with the holotosines of the function helpers. Should the author be able to discipline themselves and install this daily home of mental somatic field, conscienciological writing allows for the development of their parapsychism. Continuing this procedure will lead to the development of pangraphy, which is several parapsychic phenomena that can happen concomitantly with the development of one's lucid and interassistential clairtascal capacity. The next, please. Yeah. I think that writing can be more than just therapy, because it isn't only about pleasure in writing and relieve ourselves from our emotions. During the writing process, we connect with the T-Max. We receive inspiration from astrophysical helpers. We have paraperceptions of the holotosinic energetic field and insights to be explored in our book. Another very important thing is that writing proves self-realization and classify interassistant for future readers and for conscience that follow the process. There is another important aspect. After publication, we can make further interassistant with our itinerance of a course based on our book. Those who value this existence know the importance of our written legacy. This is an intermissivist way of applying evolutionary intelligence, preparing the future and planning for other lives. The next, please. Well, I propose we discuss the 5 questions to help us understand this theme of writing. Who is thinking of writing? Why writing? What for? When to write? How to write? How often should we write? Now we'll examine each question in detail in the next slides. The next, please. Yeah. Who think of writing? I highlight 5 profiles of people that may need to dedicate themselves to writing. 1, an intermissivist conscience. I think that all intermissivists have a clause in their code of personal cosmoethics, CPC, concerning writing. It is very important to leave a legacy for future lives. 2, a conscience with consciential opening. One needs to be open-minded, particularly if one wants to write. The broader our cognition, the easier to understand what to write about. 3, a conscience seeking to evolve. For those seeking to evolve, the experience of volunteering is extremely advantageous. In fact, it is fundamental for self-evolution and as a contribution for group Max per X. The Max per X essentially depends on the group karma. 4, anyone considering the importance of assisting others. Interassistence is a key to evolution on this planet. The act of prioritizing assistance always leads to good results. There is a famous phrase in conscientiology: do good unto others, regardless of who they are. In the process, all we learn will be used in your personal GESCONs. 5. Anyone with a focus on clarity task. Writing brings information, clarification, and assistance. When the authors have a focus on clarity task, more people will be assisted with your text and the GESCON. The next, please. Why writing? What for? Well, writing is a big project for the intermissivists and consists of discussing self-experience under the consensual paradigm, as well as helping to develop conscientiology. This contribution strengthens this science. I propose at least 6 important examples of situations and contexts for writing. 1. Decide upon analysis, always. This is basic for me. Before writing, I always study the situations carefully, and I only decide after a very careful analysis. 2. If it makes sense, then write. An experience, daily situation, new idea, inspiration, challenge requiring self-confrontation actions. All can become subjects for our book. 3. Use your evolutionary intelligence. The topics of writing can be complex, but using evolutionary intelligence will help us to have a better overview of things. 4. Exercise consensual self-relay. It is the beginning of the evolutionary consensual thought, to know our past lives and prepare the future one. 5. Express your tocenity. It is good and contributes for authentic communication. 6. Share your experience with others because it is an act of solidarity with other people. Please, next. When to write? Thoughtful analysis, attentive, deeper, complete, and courageous whole analytical process. Decision upon analysis. Better analysis, better decision for you to know for how long you need to write. Preparing a summary. It is a fundamental before you start writing. When you plan your book, we'll have to choose what goes in and what stays out, what is essential and what is not. Choosing a topic about which you are going to write in on the day. This is help you organize yourself and create a daily routine. Consensual self-organization is very important. Not only time in self-organization, but it is also necessary to clear up your mind for good ideas and inspiration to come. Insert writing in your weekly calendar. Drawing up a specific agenda in your workday is also valuable when you need to structure time for writing. Next, please. How to write. Well, I suggest 5 aspects to consider during the writing process. 1. Select the language. It is important to select the language that you use in writing. Any language requires knowledge and fluency. If it is not the native language, consider writing English and we'll find reviews for your book. 2. Research and read books, articles, and verbs on your topic. It is fundamental to read. Reading provides ideas and information, and this is particularly important when you are writing about subjects on which other conscientiology authors have already published. Check first what has already been written. 3. Write down your main insights and ideas. Your first notes can be done real fast. They don't need to be perfect. When you come back to the notes, then you can review words and sentences. 4. Consider the value of the ideas and suggestions received during Penta. This helps you develop intellectual parapsychism. 5. Your connection with the helpers is rather significant in this process. When you write always in the same place, your home office, this creates a specific field where the interaction with the helpers becomes a lot easier to help. The next, please. How often?
Can I just add something? On the previous slide, we actually had a few activities that UNESCO generally offers. And I apologize, there was a little glitch there because for the time being, these activities are not yet in English, they are just in Portuguese. So actually, we hope that we will be able to have these activities in English in the future, but not immediately. Okay, let's carry on. Let's move on to the next slide. That's fine.
I think it is next.
Next. Mm-hmm.
How to write? I speak.
Should I
The
go
next.
back? Sorry, what have I been too fast?
Oh,
No. There was just a little something. No worries.
Okay.
No worries. Okay.
the
Please go
next
ahead, Anna.
is I think the next is how often should we write? Could become
That is probably the previous slide.
previous. Yeah.
No, not this one. The previous one.
Previous one.
Sorry, I will stop sharing because I can't enter there, you know. Just a second.
Sorry.
I'll be back.
All right. No
Because
problem.
it didn't go back. Here we go.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the one. Oh, no, it went
Oops.
back. Oh,
All right.
now it's good. Now
All
it's
right.
good.
How often should we write? Well, writing needs to be planned, self-organization. 5 hours a week should be your minimum, 1 hour per day. Choose every day the same hour so you can create the appropriate writing oxytocin. Avoid distraction and daydreaming. This never helps. Focus on your work and purpose. Okay. Next, please. Yeah. Let me share with you my contributions of Encyclopedia of Conscientiology. Here are the titles of 6 verbs I wrote for the encyclopedia, among others. Communication knowledge, graphotoscenic analysis, assistential style, graphotoscenic serendipity, homeostatic authorial tocinosphere, and communication receptiology. The next, please. Yeah. I have chosen to show you here the emphatic phrase of each of these verbs, which is a phrase that summarizes the verb. 1. Communication knowledge. Self-effort in acquisition and upgrading of communication knowledge is the praxeological condition of an intermissivist, whether an inverter or a recycler interested in interassistance. Questions. Have you already thoroughly evaluated the degree of your current communication knowledge? Considering your ProX, how are you using your communication knowledge today? In this verb, I think it is important to qualify and develop all types of communication: speech, listening, reading, writing, parapsychic translation, and toccination. When you improve the speech, you improve your way of thinking of, and consequently, the way of writing. Then, when you recycle one of the knowledge communications, it helps the others. The next, please. Yeah. 2. Graphotoscenic analysis. The graphotoscenic analysis of the megagescon evidence the tocenic pattern, contents, style, temperament, tendencies, interests, and behaviors of described conscience. Questions. Do you analyze the contents of any text read and para-perceived critically? What do you conclude after analyzing the author's graphotocenity in general? Have you already identified your writing style? Well, this verb becomes an important tool for analyzing and test our speech under the perspective of the consensual paradigm. The author's ideas are expressed sometimes unconsciously in the text, and parapsychic readers can get more information between the lines. In this case, we can use a double attribute: reading and parapsychism, particularly intellectual parapsychism. Okay, the next, please. 3. Assistential style. One's assistential style originates from one's autobiography, influenced one's different ways of assistance, expand them for the benefit of the necessary multi-existential group of karmic interassistance. Questions. Have you already identified your personal style of assistance? Do you seek to develop your consensual attributes to enable you perform your assistance style in an efficient and diversified manner? We can use our assistance style in Claritask in each type of communication, in the moment we talk, our interactions, and particularly in writing. Our style of writing expresses our Tocinis and the way we manifest ourselves through the choice of words, grammar details, and use of semantic group of words. This linguistic feature shows the author's character and temperament, and consequently, the style of assistance writing. All right, the next, please. Yeah, graphotocenic serendipity. Investing in one's mental somatic parapsyches allows the intermissivist to develop graphotocenic serendipity and the health and the creative self-lucid ability of perceiving astrophysical new ideas. Questions. Do you cultivate and strengthen personal postures favoring the connection with the function helpers in order to reach graphotocenic serendipity? Do you value and invest in your creative process? Serendipity is associated with creative because to be in relaxed mental state, inclusively emotionally, helps receive inspirations and improve association of ideas. There are cases in which authors capture new, unpredictable ideas. To be in a state of self-pacification improves our ability for interdimensional communication and increases our neurolexical dictionary. The next, please, 5. Homeostatic authorial tocenosphere. Orthotocenity and prioritizing interassistential writing prepare one's intra and extraconsciencial ambience for creating a homeostatic authorial tocenosphere in our physical base. Questions. Do you prioritize mental somatic activities capable of optimizing the installation of homeostatic authorial tocenosphere at home? What gestionographic results are you obtaining with your disciplined effort and routines? We have already talked about this topic. The way we write generates a homeostatic authorial tocenosphere supported by our daily routine, organize space, and when we prepare and sanitize our energetic psychosphere. Well, the next, please, the 6th, and the communication receptiology. Studying communication receptiology expand, qualify, mature, and fraternal consensual manifestation in the most positive way, contributing for more peaceful and evolutionary group interactions. Questions. do you care about analyzing the ways in which your personal reception becomes apparent in your consensual interactions? What routines have you already undertaken in the field of communication receptiology? Learning about how you receive or perceive information during communication interactions improves your clarity of thinking and consequently contributes to writing in a more objective, precise, concise, and assistential way. When we are talking here about information, this can be either ideas, emotions, and or energies. For example, the impact of receiving feedback, the impact of perceiving someone's reactions of our own, the impact of perceiving a more aggressive energy. We cannot control people's actions, but we can and should work on how we react to those actions. Well, that's it. Thank you for the opportunity. Should you have any questions, please?
Thank you so much, Anna. It is very rich, so for sure there will be questions, but we had already prepared a few questions here. So let us start with these questions because I think they are really really very relevant to what you just gave us. And I don't, Adina, would you like to start, please?
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you that you have agreed to translate your book into Romanian. And I am very sure that your book will be very useful, not only for the people knowing conscientiology, but for everybody having communication problems. I really, really love your book. And well, of course, that I have a lot of questions, and well, I will.
And you forgot to say that you are
start
translating the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are translating the
Yes,
book.
I am a
And it will be,
translator.
the idea is that it will be published this year around October. That's the plan. In Romania in October.
Yes, yes, and we are very, very happy for this. And I will begin asking you. It is obvious that your book is the fruit of a long self and hetero research of different aspects of communication. And those who read it understand the complexity of the communication process. My question is not about the process that led to your book, but it is about the way in which the book influenced you. Which were the repercussions of the book on yourself?
Thank you for the question. Very interesting, Adina. Interesting question because it is an aspect of my self-research today. I think that publishing my book was very significant for me. My life has changed completely. There was a maturing process, many things accelerating my life, like self-assumption of leadership, development of teaching, more energy to work in volunteering, and more overview about my ProX. Anyway, I strengthened myself very much, and today I have more assistential capacity, and I can apply communicative ability with more lucidity. I'm not naive anymore.
Oh, by the way, what would be the first piece of advice that you would give to a young person, a teenager, who has read either your book and any other of this topic, but has communication problems? What should be the person's first move? What would a person need to do, first of all?
Well, it depends on what kind of problems. For example, a person who stutters may need the help of phonoaudiologist. Another example is when a young person cannot communicate with parents, but can considerably communicate with friends and colleagues. This young person may need psychotherapy, or in the case of an intermissivist, may be able to overcome the problem, inclusively develop strong traits. There are the opposite to parents' problems. Sometimes the person is introverted at home and extroverted with friends. Sometimes the introvert reverts to reading and writing, as in the case of some intermissivists. Become more extroverts only happens after they start teaching conscientiology class.
That was my case. That was my case. That was totally right.
Me too. and with the help from function helpers. No, there are cases of young people from the later two generations belonging to astrophysical holotosenic pockets and communities that I don't know how to interact and help. It's a challenge for me always. In my course based on my book, I offer many other examples.
Well, I am also very, very interested in communication and different types of communication, and I think a lot at communication from the extra-physical point of view. Let's say a language exceeds the border of a certain country, and it is one of the most important characteristics of a people, intraphysically speaking. But in terms of extraphysicality, extraphysical consciousnesses communicate telepathic, as we already know, but still, which is, if is any, in your opinion, the importance of language in maintaining an extraphysical community? In your opinion, has the language any role in maintaining the extraphysical communities?
Yeah, I think that language is more than just a form of speech and communication. It is expression of hallucination. Most people believe that thinking implies the contents of holotocenity, but we know that an astrophysical community is composed of the holotocines of a group of conscients with a lot of affinity between them. If our past is in this communex, when we are in the intraphysical life, we will connect with it. Just the simple act of hallucination and of speaking already established the connection and maintains a communex. The question is, what is my favorite astrophysical community? With which one do I have more docility affinity? If one has an answer, it is possible to know your paraprovenance.
Well, very, very interesting idea. Thank you very much. Well, you know that I'm a translator and I translate from English and Portuguese into Romanian. And of course that I have a question about this. You write in your book that translating is one of the abilities involved in human communication. What do you think is the most important attribute or trait a translator of conscienciology books should have?
I think it is important to know Portuguese and English very well, and also conscienciology and the consciential paradigm. This is the first step. But I think that more important than this is for the translator to be able to read between lines. This means to have some level of parapsychism, to read the graphotocity, the energies of the words. The main attribute is intellectual parapsychism, and the more important traits are attention, discipline, focus, openness, continuity, and a minimum relaxation for the interaction with the astrophysical helpers.
Well, thank you very much. I also love this idea of writing at 1.5 line in order to be able to read between the lines. I like it very much. I have a lot of other questions, but I will stop here. But
No.
Well,
But
till next time. Till next time, yes.
There's this thing that Anna just said that I think it's very, very important. I've been thinking, and it's also my experience, the matter of relaxation that she for parapsychism is fundamental. And sometimes we forget this. We remember about techniques, we remember even about working with the energy, but we forget that for that to be effective and for the helpers actually being able to contact with us, we need to be in a very good level of relaxation. And so anything that helps on that is makes you become kind of an aerial, right? Then you can capture lots of information. And also when you are in the process of translating, because I'm also a translator, right? So it's also that thing that it allows you to be able to better connect with the writer. Is the energy of words, as Anna said, but it's also that the good translator does an auric coupling with the writer. Either the writer is a consci or a consciex, but you do an auric coupling and you try to understand what does the writer mean, what does the writer wants to transmit, and you try to be as good as you can on transmitting that, on translating that. It's a matter of translation that also, as Anna was saying, is not just about translating one text from one language into the other. Translation is translation in lacto sensu is a parapsychic activity. And that's what I find most interesting about translation, really, because it's not just translating between languages, it's bringing also sometimes information, you know, from the extraphysical to the intraphysical. So that is really fascinating. Okay, let me ask here, please, a couple of questions. All right. So here, So let me see. The entire human civilization passed through the pandemics, the famous pandemics, which has changed a lot the interhuman communication and also interrelationships, the way we communicate with each other these days. So from this point of view, and from the perspective of this human interaction, and from the perspective of communication, obviously, which are the positive and the negative influences of this new lifestyle that we have today, born with the pandemics and probably here to stay, right? But in some respects is, well, it has affected, people all over the world. So it's a global personality, right? It has affected all of us in some degree.
Yeah. Yes, there are many changes after the pandemics of SARS-CoV-2 in the world, according to the interhuman communication and the interrelationships. The social distance and social isolation bring a new reference of interaction through video and online communication. For children and adolescents, it was terrible because physical interactions are very important for them, and physical contact and emotional development. Some damages have been accounted for, but there are some benefits that I would like to highlight. The possibility of interacting with people from other countries, study more languages, learning about other cultures and many different disciplines, expand our knowledge. Courses on different teams, working from home office, gathering with people from different countries. All these things can help the person acquire more information and interchange knowledge and affection, even at a distance.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when you said about young people that got really affected. I was giving class. My classes became all classes online, of course, and then I had one of my students, like he's 16 or something, and obviously he felt so affected. One of the many, right? Is just an example. He had to go and seek assistance with a psychologist because he started having panic attacks. Because at the same time he knew he couldn't leave home, but he and his parents used to leave home at the end of the day and go for a walk at least. But then he was afraid of going out as well. So it was very difficult. He couldn't be with his friends, he couldn't be with his colleagues. One day he risked, and they went to an arcade to play games, video games together. But he was afraid that he would catch the disease and things like that. So really, really difficult. He started having panic attacks, so he had to go to the psychologist. So that is a pity. But yes, as you say, there are also some positives. We've learned something with these pandemics, and in my case, for instance, is a thing that I think really helped me and probably many other people, which is to be able to focus more on what it is that you need to do now, what it is that you want to do now, instead of having so many external stimuli. And I like to go out and things like that. So it helped me, because now you stay home, now you stay put. And that's how I started writing my book. So at least I'm sure that many other people probably also find that this focus it was helpful. It is helpful still, because then you get the habit of writing, which is very good. Okay, let me ask you one more question, please. So following this, actually, how do you think that this digitalization, which is almost total, well, it will be probably total in the near future, right? Or in the not so far away future. How do you think this digitalization will influence communication, the communication process?
I don't know exactly. In my opinion, I observe that writing communication will be easier for most people because of digitalization. I think that there will be a fall in the quality of interactions and presential speech communication. Already, we observe a difficulty of young people in interaction with another person, especially in what concerns body communication, emotional expressions.
Yeah.
Therefore, allosomatic abilities. The reason is an intense use of mobile phones, I think. Young people forgot how to have a conversation in use body expressions, I think.
I totally agree on that respect, because obviously communication, it is very good that we can talk with people all over the world now. And just, let's do a Zoom, let's do a Google Meet or something. But at the same time, it's not the same thing as being, physically with a person, right? It's a big difference. And for young people which are in the learning curve, in the process of communication, it gets worse because they were learning something and they are unlearning, because it kind of, I think it's harder on them. You're totally right. So I don't know if you have time for more, because we wanted to do this one a little bit shorter.
Lily,
Yeah.
I would like to ask a question, because we're talking about communication, right? And this connection to the helpers. And Adina was talking about that she's translating Anna's book, right? So I was wondering if she can talk a little bit about her experience about this process.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I'll try. Well, it's very clear that translating conscientiology books, generally speaking, is very different. It's a completely other type. It's a different type of translating, and without uh, without having a strong connection with the helper, you cannot do it. Um, if I may, I'll tell you a story. When I started translating from English to Romanian, and at a certain moment, I thought, well, I could try translating from Portuguese. Let's see. Wow, Romanian and Portuguese are in the same family, cannot be so difficult. And I must admit now that I was, at that moment, I didn't have at least 1 hour of Portuguese. Only my Romanian language and a little bit of Spanish, nothing else. But I must admit again that I managed to do it without speaking any Portuguese, and without having had studying at least 1 hour of Portuguese. So this is the role and of the helper, because otherwise, well, now when I already can speak some Portuguese at an acceptable level, I cannot imagine how did I manage to translate without this. So without helper, we cannot do anything. And well, regarding Anna's book, Oh, we have a lot of things in common, and I find myself in a lot of aspects. She's writing in her book. I was for example, I was a very shy child, and I couldn't interact normally with the other people around me. I didn't have friends, so we have a lot of things in common, and it is a great a huge opportunity for me, because it's the process translating her book. I develop my own process, my own recycling, and my own understanding of a certain part of my life. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if I may add something, so you did a wonderful job without having one hour of Portuguese, right? So far, so far now you have many hours, right? That's not the thing. But one of the things that I find fantastic about Anna's book is that well, she has this same idea that I had and that Valdo had, that translation is not this thing. It's not just changing one text from one language to the other, right? Translation is so much more than that, right? It's this parapsychic thing. It develops your intellectual parapsychism, and it is so much so that I know that Anna is writing more in this area, right? She's writing now more on this area, and I'm sure that we would love to have one or two more classes in the future about this very specific thing, right? Because I think it's going to be very an eye opener to many people. Because even in the conscienciological group that we have of intermissivists and all, most people, I would say, or many people at least, they still have this idea that translation is just changing from one language to the other, and it's not. It's not. So there's so much more to it. Okay, so I would try and just answer one question here. Leandro was asking something interesting. He was asking that when you were writing your book, if you use the conscienciography laboratory in the campus of Araci. Okay, so I don't know if you wrote everything at home or if you went to the lab. that much I don't know.
The most part at home. The most part at home. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the thing is, as you said, when we create this habit of writing, especially every day, or researching, reading, and writing every day at home, even and especially if you, as you proposed, if we have this in our schedule and we do it every day, like even, I don't know, 1 hour is the least that you say, right? 1 hour per day, five hours per week, that's the least that you can do, right? This thing, it creates an energetic field that allows for the communication with the helpers on one side, and that allows you to develop your intellectual parapsychism simultaneously. This is what I've been experiencing as well since I started writing my book, because I've been writing my book here. And so extra physically, I had a projection actually with Dr. Vieira, that this here is the living room is an extra-physically is my office. So all the tables, there are more than one table, couple of tables full of papers and full of books. And so the Holothosine is created. And that's what I wanted to create in this area. So the Holothosine is created, and when you go extra-physically, yeah, it's there. So obviously that potentializes, maximizes the connection with the extra-physical team. And actually, I do an immersion in writing with Unesco, right? That helps us. But okay, you can feel, it's almost palpable, the presence of the extra-physical helpers when this happens. So you don't actually need to go out to a lab. You create your own lab at home. That's the especially now and after the pandemics. That's the proposal, right? You create your own environment, your home office, right? It's the Holothosine, and if it's writing, and researching and reading and all interconnected. So I think this is very very interesting process, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you ladies want to add something or any other question, but anything that was not answered, we will, don't worry, we will send your questions to Anna, and for sure she will love to answer everyone. Okay, and if if there's more people that want to ask questions, please do, and Anna will answer everything. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm saying, but yes, I'm sure that you'll be delighted in answering all the questions. Okay. So if there is anything else, can we close the program for today? I want to thank you again very much, Anna, for your presence. And I want to thank you for your book and the subject. And I'm so happy that you are further developing, the meaty parts of the book. Next book, the meaty parts of the thing, these ideas, which I find are very, very relevant. And funny enough, yesterday I had a meeting with we exchanged messages also with the Invisible College of Serenology. And what were we talking about? Exactly, linguistics, translation with Mariana Nieto, stuff like that, and all these things. And then I asked Mariana, have you read Anna Seno's book? And she said, not yet. Okay, so we need to, because you guys, you have connections there, and what with Adina and stuff like that. Everyone is interested, or all of us here, with the process of words, right? Translation, linguistics, and all that. So it's very, very rich, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone, for
Thank
coming.
you. I'm
Thank
very
you so
happy.
much.
I'm happy.
Okay, we're happy.
Thank you for attention.
Thank you so much, and we hope to see you more often.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.